Why in the middle of the night, sweetheart? Don't you think it's a little, unsafe?
Unsafe? Believe me, Mr. Featherland, as it is now, if anyone sees an insect outside the hive in broad daylight...
Yeah, I guess that's worse.
Now you can see how important this is to me.
You must be very desperate. So, are you ready? I'd like to dig a little deeper. It's not too painful, most of the time.
Go on. That's why I'm here, Mr. Featherland.
Millandra dared to come here alone, so she's a strong and upright gal. Breaking her certainly won't be easy, but maybe she'll open up to me if I approach her gently. Break or open. Either way could lead to success, as long as I don't fall flat on my face. Let's start at the beginning. With your husband.
Milo Masterson.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Masterson? You mean you didn't take your husband's name?
Don't get me wrong, I loved him very much. But in our family, women don't usually do that. It's our way of keeping more of our independence.
I get it. When exactly did your husband die?
A week and a half ago.
And when did you discover that his body was missing?
3 days ago.
And what's happened since then?
I tried to convince myself to come here.
I see you succeeded.
Lucky me.
You know, the last dame in distress who came to me ended up in a pretty bad way.
I'm not your typical shy housewife type, Mr. Featherland. I'll fight my own battles if I have to. But I'll also admit when I'm not up to the task.
Oh, that's a really useful quality. I envy you.
You don't often admit when you need help, do you?
You nailed it, sweet chops. But let's talk about you. Can you tell me what your husband died of?
Poisoning.
You mean being poisoned?
No, nothing like that. It's just, you know, the water in our area is often contaminated. Sometimes it's seriously polluted. And food often arrives moldy or rotten. You know, as they say, the road to the hive is long.
Has anyone investigated this poisoning?
Not that I know of. No official report was ever filed. There was no autopsy, no police investigation. We just buried him. It's what we do usually.
Clucking hell.
I'm a little surprised that you're upset about it, but I'm glad. That's how I know I'm in the right place.
Can you tell me what a typical day was like for your husband?
He worked in a textile factory. He got up in the morning, went to work, came straight home after work. We spent the evening together, rinse and repeat. But then he lost his job.
And Milo changed?
More like everything changed. The factory was replaced by a new meat substitute plant. You know, the one that makes those horrible fake meat products. Milo couldn't continue working, so he looked for anything else.
Anything else?
He shined shoes when he had to, ran errands, but nothing lasted long. Then he met a strange guy who pretended to be a private detective, but he looked more like a tramp.
Wait a minute. One of those antlered guys? I mean, a stag beetle?
You know him?
Frank Half-Armed Castellini. Oh, yeah, I know him. He was the only insect in the academy. And not long before the Segregation Act, he got bounced from the force.
Milo helped him out for a while, all kinds of courier work. But he soon left him. He always said Frankie's a troublemaker.
Well, I can back you up on that. Well, wait a minute. Why didn't you go to Frank instead of me?
This Frank was a strange, creepy guy. Scattered, dirty, like a bum.
I knew Frank a long time ago. He's a strange one, all right. But he's an exceptional detective.
I'm sure he is, Mr. Featherland, but I still wasn't happy about Milo hanging around him.
Afraid he'd be dragged into some murky business?
I was almost sure of it. I felt it in my antennae. I often sense things like that.
Is that why you came to me? You want me to look into Frank?
I want you to find out what happened to my husband's body. That's all I want. Nothing more, nothing less.
What kind of personality was Milo? How would you describe him in a few words?
Calm, patient, devoted.
You really loved him, didn't you?
I love him even now, Mr. Featherland.
Well, then your husband was a lucky man.
Thank you.
Did he tell you exactly what he did for Frank?
Never in detail, just that he was a kind of errand boy. He got things from A to B.
Nothing more unusual than that?
One night, he came home really upset. After that, he never went to Frank's again. But he didn't tell me what happened, and I didn't probe.
Well, that's a pity. It could easily have had something to do with his disappearance, and maybe even his death. Do you really feel it's worth risking your own life?
Very much so, Mr. Featherland. My husband's body is missing. I wouldn't have wanted a funeral because we should have cremated him in the name of the Great Light, but...
But you didn't. Why?
We left the path of the light to better fit in with the animals. Mostly because of me.
So you feel it's partly your fault?
Of course I do. I have a soul, Mr. Featherland. And my husband's soul can never rest in peace.
I think I understand. Sort of. Okay. Give me one good reason why I should care about this.
Look, I can't pay you much, but...
It was never about the money. But I'm still a cop. I don't do...
You're saying you don't do private investigations? Not what I heard. Rumor is, when the Wessler Empire...
Oh, let's not dwell on the past. This is a different kind of case.
Because of the HIVE, right? So you won't take the case?
Well... maybe. So, you've been looking into this all on your own?
I had no choice. I searched the cemetery, but I didn't find a soul. There's an old bug working there. His name's Uncle Joe, kind of a local legend. Almost everybody knows him. He didn't see anything, but he couldn't have seen much because he was drunk as a skunk.
I guess the police didn't bother to question him.
The police? Please.
Have others disappeared from the cemetery, or just your husband?
His was actually the third, and then 3 others went missing, as I heard.
You say 6 bodies are on the loose?
Don't put it that way. But yes, that's what I know.
And this, Uncle Joe fella, what else do I need to know about him?
When I talked to him, he was scared. I guess he was either beaten or threatened, probably both.
Well, thank you for answering my questions, Missy.
So, the interview, that was it?
You'd better not leave town. Stick around. It's the best thing to do.
So be it, Mr. Featherland.
You see? That's what I'm talking about.